As crazy as it sounds, the title that you're reading is 100% true. The first story that I want to get into is a lady who was basically my next door neighbor. She was around 18, 19 around the time I was in elementary school, but I was really close friends with her younger brother. Me and him, we would go outside every day riding scooters around the neighborhood because, social media when I was in elementary wasn't as big as it was now. So we was outside every day after school. Then as we all got a little bit older, she got pregnant, she got a kid. She had her kid in a stroller crossing the street. Now, I don't really know exactly how the story goes, but I remember I was at a party. And I was with some people, and then it was like, do you hear the news? A lady died crossing the street with her baby. I ended up finding out that was my next door neighbor, the one who I grew up with. And I was like, damn, she literally just became a mom. And like how I was saying, I really don't know how the story went. I don't know if as she was crossing the street, this person was just on their phone, wasn't paying attention and just rammed into her. I don't know if she crossed the street on one of those bending corners and it was just wrong timing. Don't know if it was a drunk driver. I had no idea. I just know when she got hit by the car, she passed away. Then we have my friend Jacoby. Now, how I met Jacoby was from my stepbrother named Eric. So Eric went to the church one time. I remember it was during the summer. He went to the church one time and he was like, the church members invited me to invite y'all to come to church because they wanted as many teenagers as possible at the time at this church. So I was like, okay, of course. So when I go to the church, Eric did not end up going to the church. I fell in love with going to this church. Everyone around this church became like my best friends. I would do everything with everyone around in this church.
USA! 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 USA!
Like we all had relationships in this church. I even got a picture from so long ago. We would draw hearts with everybody that had a crush on everybody in the side of this church. Like we was all close. It was like a real teenage brother and sister thing.
What is she doing?
Why you can't sing? Why you can't sing for the camera?
I'm not singing for the camera.
We would all go to summer camps together. And speaking of camps, we went to one, but it was an all-boy camp. Look at me. That's a younger picture of me, of us going to this all-boy camp. And then we went again, and Jacoby was with us. We went to this camp called Take the Challenge. And I talked about this before, and I told y'all when I talked about this that this camp was very tough. As you can see in the pictures, I'm really tired in these pictures. We had to make our own food. We're sleeping with coyotes and all of that in the wild. But after we left the camp, we went to a waterfall.
Go! Go!
Waterfall was beautiful. As you can see, I took pictures right here with Jacoby. This was one of the final moments we took together. No, actually, when we finally came home from the waterfall, we had church again. I remembered it like it's crazy, and I still have the video. As you can see, it's all of us going inside of Walmart. You see kids, you see teenagers. We all like this, by the way, because we hang in with each other every week for the past years. This was the final day that I got to hang out with him. That day, we was all going to Walmart. Jacoby was actually going through things we didn't even know because the pastor of the church explained exactly how he died. There was a white car that sped past Jacoby's home. Now, this white car that sped past the home was shooting at Jacoby's house all through the window, and Jacoby ended up getting hit in the head. Now, the pastor that I know, he's close with the investigators and police. So when certain police came to the scene, they knew who Jacoby was because of the pastor, because these police will also go to that church. So they ended up calling the pastor. The pastor would go to the scene, and he would see how Jacoby was just there laying lifeless. And everybody couldn't believe it because we don't know exactly how he got involved into this street life. Nobody knew. We was just, these teens going to church every week, and then the unthinkable happened. Now remember, I said Eric was the one who invited me to the church. Now, Eric's mother was in a relationship with this man. This man, one night on New Year's, was arguing with his mother. This was 2 years ago. So yes, now Eric is, a bit older. He heard that his mother is arguing with this man that her mother is dating. Now, this is not Eric's dad. This is just a boyfriend. But this man is getting real abusive to the mother, like extremely abusive. He's hitting her hard. So he decides to step in to save his mother, but the man gets a gun and shoots him in the stomach. At this point, Eric is running out the house as he's just leaking.
Whoever was injured tried to make their way across the street in an attempt to ask for help, but didn't quite make it to the door, leaving a trail of behind them.
He's trying to go to the neighbors, but he ended up not making it to the neighbor's house, and he fell on the sidewalk and he had his last breath. Now that man was full of anger. He ended up taking the anger out on the dog and the dog.
A Lake Charles woman is recovering today after deputies say she was attacked by her boyfriend. The woman's son and their pet dog also killed in the incident.
During this whole situation, the mom, by the way, which is my stepmother, which was my stepmother at the time because my dad dated her. And this is how I'm so close with Eric and his brothers, what we're going to get into next. But during the time of this whole situation, you know, my dad is not with the mom no more. Everything's split up. The mother ends up escaping during that whole situation with the son and the dog. And she was able to drive herself to the hospital. The crazy thing is, when she made it to the hospital, the man came inside of the hospital. He wanted to finish the job with the mother.
The suspect was actually arrested while at the hospital, reportedly looking for the victim.
She was badly beat. She almost lost her life. I don't want to show her full face, you know, keep some privacy, but this is close pictures of the beating of her. Even though that story is public, it was that bad. Now she's good. You know, she's taking care of herself. She's healing.
Once we got to the address, we made entry. Upon making entry into the residence, we found one dead black male. The dog had been shot.
The person killed was the victim's son, 26-year-old Eric Bosley.
But remember, Eric has a brother who I also grew up with, who was also my stepbrother at the time. His name is Javen. Now, Javen, he is the athlete. He's a football player. He was going into college football. He was going to be a star. He was really good at football. He was known around the whole city, but it was a cell going around. You know what type of cell I'm talking about. That type of cell. And it was exchanging during the cell, and then it turned bad. And it ended up being the people who you're seeing here shooting him and murdering him. It turned into an argument, and then the argument got so heated that they let it out by just shooting. And he passed away. But then, a big piece that I forgot to mention is, when Javen died, he just had a kid. He had a son. So him and his girlfriend just had this family. Now they have this missing piece in the family. The dad, all because somebody wanted to take their anger out during a cell and end up shooting. I did see her online posting this huge paragraph the day of the murder, and she was just heartbroken. So that was a very sad situation. I also seen Javen's mom with the son, and they was taking pictures together, so she still see the kid, and that's really nice. Yeah, complete sad situation. They have a younger brother. Yes, Javen has a younger brother, and Eric has a younger brother. So we have Eric, the oldest, Javen the second, then the younger one, Malik. Now, Malik was at a football game. At this football game, some type of fight broke out, arguing. During this fight, Malik got in his car. And as he was driving off, the person decides to swing his arm and hit him inside of the car. And you can hear on video, people like, oh. So, built up anger Malik had, he got out the car. He starts approaching this man real slow. And all of a sudden, shots happened. This ended up having him going to prison.
Tonight, a man is behind bars accused of being the gunman in a deadly shooting.
2 people were shot a block away from the Donaldsonville High School football game. They were both taken to a hospital where Tyree Parker died. Deputies say it started with an argument between a group of people who knew each other, but the fight somehow got out of hand and shots were fired. We are told the gunshots were so loud, fans in the stadium could hear them, sending the crowd scrambling. Malik faces several charges, including second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder.
Y'all have to realize, during this whole span of time, I'm like, what is going on? I have close people that's to me that's passing away. Now I have close people that's to me that's just completely crashing out, going to jail. What the is going on? I'm just shocked about everything that's going on. But another thing happens. We gotta rewind a little bit. My older brother. Now, my older brother was someone who I grew up with, but the thing is, I moved away to Houston for a bit. My older brother, he's still in, New Orleans. I don't know what he have going on, and I'm in Houston for a year. After a year comes, I go to New Orleans, and then I go to school. Now, the school that I went to, all of the friends around me did not know the hell that I was dealing with. I was going through breakups and all types of crazy madness around the time that I'm going through a whole lot of craziness. When I came home from school, I noticed something weird. First, this is my first day at school in Louisiana as I moved from Texas. I come home from school and I noticed that the door is cracked. I'm like, what? And I'm recording the whole thing. I don't know what made me put out my phone, but I recorded the whole thing. I open the door and I see that the whole house is complete trash.
So the cops decided to run through the house. They did all that, holes through the couches. They flipped everything.
Now, as I'm recording, the whole house completely trashed. The FBI did it. A SWAT team broke down the house and raided the whole entire home. Ripped couches, put holes in walls. They did everything.
They ran up in here, took everything out, destroyed it. They got holes in the wall, everything like that.
They ripped down frames in the bedrooms. They threw everything out of the dresser. The whole house was complete trash.
Ran through the rooms, took everything out, destroyed it. Picture knocked down. Ran through the bathroom, ran through this room, ran through this room. They ran through this room.
I'm like, what the could just happen? Because, you know, I came from Texas. I don't know what's going on, but I'm the only one home at the time. The house was swatted.
You're in a breaking news situation. This is a live look at that SWAT situation. Don't have a lot of details now. We're told this started about an hour ago, and this is what happened afterwards. The sheriff's office went out there with the SWAT team. The SWAT team is outside that home.
So I'm like, what do I do? We had to clean all of that. I had to clean all of that. At the time as well, I was living at the house by myself. First day back, I got the key from my grandma. My grandma gave me the key because my dad left me a key. Now I have the house to myself, but my dad had to leave for work. He had to work out of town, so I'm here by myself, and I'm like, what the? Then I eventually find out that yes, your house been swatted. Your brother had WEED in the home. The house was being investigated, and they swatted the house, and they brought him to jail. I was so lucky that I wasn't there, because when people swat your home, you have guns, these ARs to your head. Like, you have to put no matter the age. So it's like you don't want to be in a situation like that, because you never know what might come out of that. It was times that people actually passed away from things like that. So I had to clean up this whole mess. It was just crazy. And my brother, he ended up getting, I think, 3 or 4 years in jail because of this. And also, yes, my brother did get shot. He did get shot, but he lived. He got hit in his arm. It was right here in his arm. Now we got to get into my friend who we called White Boy. Now remember, I told y'all that I lived in Houston for a year. When I lived in Houston for a year, it wasn't sweet. So I decided to move by my cousin's house. My cousin's house was swatted as well. Luckily, I wasn't there. First of all, the first week of me being there, I cannot make this up. I go to a party. When I went to this party, I mean, I'm 14 around this time, 15. I'm really young. When I go to this party, it's just a house party. It's all of these people having fun. You know, just your big, huge house party, basically. Everybody in the backyard, music playing, everyone having fun. All of a sudden, shots fired. These shots get fired. I remember this house is from a elderly lady, but her grandson wanted to throw this house party, and she let him throw this house party, and it turned tragic. Gunshots started to happen. I remember that this lady was screaming, old lady. I took her and brought her under the car. It was a truck. It was a gray truck, and I lay there with her as these shots just firing, and she's crying. She was losing her mind. I don't even know how my first instinct was to put her under the truck, but I did. But then I see my cousin and my cousin friends is running, hopping the fence, and they get in the car. If I don't leave with my cousins, I'm gonna get left. Like I said, it's my first week here, or my second week. I was in the beginning stage of living there. They would have left me, I would have been lost. I didn't even have a phone around this time, or did I? No, I didn't, because I remember I got a phone when I went to school because my phone was broke. So yeah. Because this was around summertime, and we started school, I think it was late August, mid-August, something like that. It was around summertime, June. I see him running in the car and the friends, so I ran behind them, and I had to hop the fence and hurry up and just get in the car. Now, in the car is 4 of us. One of the friends that we came with is missing. It's because we're going to his house, actually. And the guy who was missing, he was actually limping because he got hit in his upper thigh. Yeah, he got shot in his upper thigh. And so we just drove like literally 2 blocks, and we see him limping, and then he just fall on the ground. The ambulance came. He survived. He lived. Till this day, I don't know what's going on with him. I know that we getting into the friend that I was talking about, White Boy. I don't know why we called him that, but we called him that. He was like one of the closest, you know, he was just a white boy around the neighborhood. That's why, to be honest. But we was just really, really close with him. So the relationship we had with him was like closer than all of the other guys that we was around. But then I move, right? And I go back to Louisiana. I get the call. Yeah, you remember white boy? Probably didn't hear what happened, but he raged. He shot his grandma in the head, tied his mother up, tied his brother up, then called the police and told them to come over. And then he just sat there on the porch with the gun.
A woman was found shot dead in Northwest Houston. Investigators say that her adult grandson is responsible. Police responded to the call on DeWalt Street near West Montgomery Road about 7 o'clock last night after getting a report from family members. The grandson has been arrested. A motive is still unknown.
He was going through some stuff like no tomorrow. We don't know, well, I don't know what truly he was going through, but he was going through some stuff. He murdered his grandma and tied his family up. Sat on the porch, called the cops, and got arrested. Now, I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of stories that I could get into because there's just so much situations that I've just been through. I just don't want to spam story. I just wanted to give y'all an image on how crazy my life was. And it all started young. I told y'all plenty of times that I seen my mom pass away in my hands at the age of 7. And as I got older, I'm seeing all of these other people go through situations and die that's around me. But then there was me. And here's the crazy thing about this. Crazy thing is, as I'm going through all of this madness, I was recording in that same room that was torn down with the frame on the bed. I was recording in that same room, still putting a smile on my face. And even though I was recording during those years, now this was the early videos, even though I was recording during those years, no one could tell what I was going through behind the cameras. And I remember I talked about a Ukrainian girl. Only the OGs know that story time. During the time that I was dating her, she came to my house around the worst time period. There was no hot water at the time. So we took cold showers together. I wasn't traveling and doing all of this and that and that like how I'm doing now. So I didn't really have money like that. So we would have to eat this and then that and here and there. And even when we was cuddling on the bed broke because the bed was not the best. You can see in an old video here, well, I don't know if you could tell in that video, but the bed wasn't the best. And the crazy thing is, she stuck around during all of that time. I was going through all of that. Like, I say that to say that there's girls that's going to hold you down no matter what. Because when we broke up, I wasn't going through that situation like that anymore. You know, things was better for me. But it wasn't the best. But it's just crazy how, like, I was going through all of that, recording in that same area and smiling and all of this. And there was even a time period. This is a real throwback video, but I started recording in the living room on this green couch. During this time period, this was probably one of the worst times in my life ever. Because imagine it like this. I had to go 6 months with no internet, no cable. This means every time I had to come home from school, I was doing literally nothing inside of the home. So I had to go to the neighbors and I asked them for DVD movies because I had a PlayStation, and I would play the same movies back to back to back for 6 months straight, and that would be my entertainment until I thought of a plan. I saw the kid, my next door neighbor, was taking out the trash. I asked him, I need to make a call, it's an emergency, but I need the Wi-Fi to make the call because I have an iPhone. So I told him, can you give me the password? He gave me the password. I took that password, put it inside of the PlayStation, and now I have YouTube and things like that, and now I was good.
Alright y'all, so I found a movie to watch. So far, it's kind of slow, but it's going good so far.
Now it's also able to upload YouTube videos. I'ma just say, shout out to Hannah. She's like one of the biggest supporters ever. Like, I love you, Hannah. She made a video reacting to one of my videos. I liked it, I watched the whole thing. Here's her channel, you just check her out. Well, yeah, thank you, Hannah, I love you.
Okay. Yeah, I just started off in your whip. I just started off with your...
This was long ago, but it was all crazy. How I was still smiling through it all. Recording in that same home, smiling through everything. Nobody at school knew what I was going through. My viewers who used to watch me back then didn't know what I was going through. A lot of my family didn't know what I was going through because I didn't tell nobody. I just thugged it out, basically. Everything just was naturally around me. School was the getaway part for me. I'm like, okay. And it's supposed to be the complete opposite. But no, school was the getaway part. I was vibing. We really playing hide and go seek, and I'm counting in the hallways. I'm waiting for them. I'm gonna count to 30. And I wanted to show y'all crazy stories and I still have some real dark stories. Might as well save it for another time. And I hope y'all enjoyed this all over the place crazy video. I love you. I mean, stay safe, be strong. Something that I had to learn at an early age. I had no choice. And yeah, take care. Bye.
If you really wanna fuck with me, girl, maybe you should come try and see.